Hello and welcome to ZED Talks. I am so thrilled that you're here, and today I am joined by somebody I love called Monyca Brown, and she's going to tell you everything that she does. We got an interesting conversation today because, like all guests, well, Monyca jumps in and tells me about herself. Like all guests, we have a little chit chat before we start, and we say, "What's on your heart, mind?" Monica's got a little. We normally talk about something to do with HR, AI, mindset, and kind of all topics around that, which could be very vast. And whilst we're going to touch on that, Monyca does something quite different than most other guests that I've had. So away you go, Monyca. Introduce yourself, your fabulous, gorgeous self.
My name is Monyca Brown. I am an HR consultant by nature. I'm an HR professional by nature. But about a year ago, I pivoted from supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs to supporting HR consultants. So we do all the back office work for the HR consultants. We do your handbooks, we do your policies, we do your manager guides, we do your training, whatever it is that you need to deliver to your clients, we do, and we help you free up that time so that you could do client relations, you could do marketing, you could do networking, you could do that admin work you don't like to do, all that stuff that creates burnout, from having too much on your plate, and also prevents you from saying yes to the next client because you don't have a team, you're a team of one. But now with BackPocket, you have a whole team behind you, so you don't have to say no to the client. You can say yes, and we'll be there to support you always.
I love it. So it's like a HR for HR in many
Exactly.
ways.
Yeah.
And I love that because I do. So I've got the tingles. Tingles, let me explain what that means. So when I get tingles, that is confirmation in my world that there's something to explore around that, because you hit upon one word, which I think, well, there's two words that we started the conversation. So anyone eavesdropping on our conversation is so first of all burnout, number two balance. So balance is really big on my heart and mind at the moment because I don't have any, and I've got to practice what I preach, and I tell people and advise people to do things and help them, anyway, we'll get into
I'm
that.
sorry. I'm sorry. So my thing is dinging. I don't know if you can hear that. My computer is
No,
dinging.
no, can't
Okay,
hear
great.
anything, so
Okay,
don't you. And you know what, dinging is also confirmation that we're in the right area.
Yeah, I'm
So
just like,
yeah,
'cause all these notifications are going off, even though I silenced them. It was like, what is this?
you're like, no, you can't have it. So this is pure conversation, that balance comes in all different ways. And
Mhm.
I know that, like, I find deep breath, I find just pausing so hard at different moments. So we'll get into that, I'm sure, a bit later. So the clients that come to you, and you've got quite a portfolio, haven't you?
Mhm. Yes, I
You've
do.
grown immense. You have become very successful in a
Yes,
very short space of time.
yes, I have.
So you know that you have put your finger in the socket when it comes to impact, because there
Mhm.
is absolute demand for what you do,
Yes,
which is fantastic. So do you have a team that helps you deliver?
I do. I have a team. Over the last couple of months, I've had to expand my team because just like the HR consultants I support, like I need people to support me so that I can keep supporting them. And so I have a team of 4 people now. I have a person that helps me with my admin and keeps my head straight. She's like, Monica, I don't know if you should do that. Let's think about this. Let's slow it down. And then I have a wonderful HR consultant who helps me. She loves doing like playbooks, and she loves like diving into research. And so we have a couple of clients where we did a recruiting playbook for someone, and we also are doing like comparison of union agreements and things like that. And so that's her jam. She likes to do that. And then I have 2 techie people who like to get into the technical part of things and helping people figure out their websites. Like I have a jam, this workflow isn't working, so let's
Mm.
take a look at that. So we do that. And then I'm excited to announce, because we haven't announced this yet, but we're piloting a VA portion of BackPocket, because I've had people ask me about that, but I was just like, I'm not a VA. My calendar is a lot for me to handle. Handling somebody else's, might be a challenge for me. But I have a colleague. She's not really a colleague, but she's a networking friend who is a CHRO, and she had a VA business way back in the day. And she said, I'm really thinking about starting this up. I just don't know where to start. And I was like, oh, I got it. Like my client is looking for this. Yes. So they just are kicking off today. Like they're probably meeting while we're talking. So we kicked it off today. We're going to pilot it. This is a very much a work in progress. And so we're doing that. But when I listen to my clients and I try and, if the service makes sense, then I'll see about adding it to what we do, because we very much want to be that all around support for the consultants where we can be, where it makes sense, where our strengths lie. And so I don't want to do anything that's outside of our space of genius, but I also want to be that resource for the consultants to say, like, I have a whole, without hiring a bunch of different people or people that are seasonal workers for them. Because, sometimes HR consultants hire other HR consultants who have a lull in their business and they come in and help for a period of time. But with us, what's different is that we're always here. So we're consistent, where you have that continuity. We know your clients. We do, when you give us a project, like we research your clients. So we know when we're creating documents, we're speaking in their voice, using their terminology, so it looks like it comes from them and not from, somebody else that doesn't know, to have a clue about what they do. And so that's the beauty of what you get. So we're always looking for ways to fully support the consultant.
So I think this is a lovely moment to say, anyone listening here, the goal that you've just heard is that there is a demand.
Yes.
Because many people that come into consulting or service, let's say proposition, can supply all day long. And it's great that you can supply, of course. Like, doing HR work is actually the easiest thing for people like us, because it's the thing that we've done. Running the business and understanding clients, getting clients and getting paid for it is quite a different proposition. And so I think that's a really, to keep that in the mind. So first of all, listeners, you may be thinking about starting your own business. And actually, Monyca, I want to ask, there was a question that I put on email to you, which was what you wish you'd known, but we'll come to that.
Okay.
Because this is what most businesses or people that go into business, first of all, they're not really a business owner yet, because they're still thinking in a HR mindset or wherever they've come from. That switch is then required to think about being a business owner, and then really understanding what the demand is. What is the demand? What is the want? What impact is it or what problem do they want solved?
Right.
Like when I think about plumber, I can't do plumbing. And if I've got a problem, I will pay anything for a plumber to come. When my plumbing's fine, I ain't paying the plumber. I ain't paying a plumber. So, it's like tapping into that demand, which it seems that you have penetrated into like an absolute champ. And I couldn't be thrilled for you, because I couldn't be more thrilled for you. Couldn't be thrilled.
Well, I had help. I had help. I don't know. Can I talk about the help that I had besides my team?
You can talk about your help.
So when I was starting, I'll give a little background about how, I don't know if we talked about this. I think you and I talked about it before the show, about how I broke into doing this part of the business. I have been supporting small businesses from the beginning, and working during the pandemic, you're very siloed. So I was working with another HR consultant. We were doing fantastic work together, building her business, and really working well together. But I felt like we were just talking to each other, and I was like, I need to know what's going on in the world. So I need to branch out. I need to know other consultants, and so I started joining these other groups, like on Facebook. There are a couple people that meet online, and so I started doing that, and I started learning so much from other consultants. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole other world out there. And in one of the groups, she's my dear friend, Carissa Dane, she mentioned Sam Eaton. And she had talked about this Sam Eaton who works with HR consultants. And I was like, oh, okay. I looked her up on LinkedIn, followed her and was kind of stalking her on LinkedIn. And then sent a message out to her to meet, because one of my friends, I was saying, I think I want to do something else in HR. I don't know what I want to do. I think I want to move from, client facing to maybe the back. I don't know. And they were like, well, you should get a business coach. And I was like, yeah, but then I started thinking about, like, why not? Why not invest in myself? And so I reached out to Sam, and we connected instantly. Like, I joined her Mindability Club, And that really like opened my eyes to what a business owner is, because I was, like you were saying, I was very much thinking like I'm an HR consultant. That's what I am. And those are the things that I deliver. I deliver HR solutions, but really I wasn't thinking about the business part. And so about things that I wish I had known is that I wish I had a business when I was first thinking about this, that I had a business partner to start with the structure, to tell me these are all the things that you need to know. These are the things you need to pay attention to. These are the things that you should watch out for. This is, think in the mind of a business person and not as a producer of work. That's why I say a producer of work, because in HR, that's what you do. Somebody has a problem, you solve it, you do it. And so that was one of the things I wish I had started with beginning, but it wasn't too late because I met Sam and she put me on the right track and she helped me really frame what I was doing in BackPocket, because I was very skeptical. I was just like, who is gonna, these HR consultants can do this work? And she said, they could, but should they? If they're trying to grow their business, should they be doing all the work?
Yep.
Is there
Yep.
something you can help them take off their plate to free up their time, to allow them to focus on another area of their business or grow themselves as a business person? I was like, absolutely. And these are things that I like to do. I know people, when they talk to me, they're like, I hate handbooks. I was like, give me your handbook. Like, we don't mind. We love handbooks, those kind of things.
God.
So that's
Thank you.
Yes, I know. Like, we love doing that kind of stuff. But that was one of the things. If I had that sooner, I think and then not talking about systems, but really thinking as a business person has been the mind shift that I needed. And that's what I got from, Mindability and working with Sam and her team, and then joining her mastermind. Like, that really opened up the world to me, because I get to meet with people like you. I get to meet with her. I get to meet with the other Sam and Toby, and talk about really getting to the nitty gritty of the business part of it, and not so much about the work that we put out, but like, how do I make a sustainable business and all the things that go with that. So
Totally. And a sustainable business is, and that can mean many things to many people. And I know that we've had a discussion previous to today, because we'll probably do some work together at some point. Because it's an ecosystem. I look at Mindability as a bit of an ecosystem now for me. So anyone that doesn't know Sam Eaton is the founder of Mindability Consulting, and Sam has a business club which is very active, I might say. We support Sam from a technical perspective, and I'm a faculty member, and you actually, Monyca, support Sam for event organisation. Or certainly, if you've been anyone listening, if you have had any posts or anything about Disrupt HR in Dallas, Sam is one of the kind of like leaders of that. And Monica's the recent one in Dallas at the truck yard, this lady on this call was the one that made it happen and made it look so flipping easy, unbelievably smooth, slick. Everything went just sailed. It was seamless.
We had a good time.
Kudos to you for that. And I've said that as well. Like, you really, really did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Sam, is an enabler, and she's sort of but when I joined,
they learn a good way. Yeah,
they do in a good way, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when I had a business before I met Sam, but I birthed my third business with Sam, so it was almost like, yeah, I know that there's something here. And when I just picked up the phone and said, Sam, I've got this business idea. It's kind of what I've been doing. It's a little bit of a pivot. It's going more deeply into AI. And she was like, do it. And I even said, I've got the name, I've got the domains. She was like, come on, let's go. So she gave me, I think, so, and I also think, so let's talk about coaches for a second, because sometimes American and European views of having a coach is very, very different.
Okay.
Bearing in mind that I've grown with them up in America, and even though I don't have an American accent, I consider myself well birthed in America, because I still have connections and a house there, or apartment, a bit of a stretch. And I kind of feel like when you get a coach in Europe, some people think there must be a problem. And I say, well, Olympians and very successful entrepreneurs, or people that are operating at the highest level in their profession, have one thing in common. they have mentors and coaches. And not when they get to the top. They have them at the very beginning of the journey to assure that they get to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, Americans embrace more of that philosophy than Europeans. So I think that we are a bit late to the game. I think we're changing the tide now, because it was also almost like, if you've got a coach at work, you must be a problem. Like, there's something wrong. You've got to brush up on something. Like, honestly, we need to lose that mentality. It's there to enhance, enable, and to get you to where you want to be quicker.
Right. Because if you look at the most successful people, like when they talk about how they got there, there's always somebody
They're never
that they
alone.
spoke to. There's always somebody that they spoke to, somebody that gave them a piece of advice, somebody that they shadowed, that they looked up to, that they followed. There's always someone. You don't get there by yourself.
Yes. Yeah. No one does it alone. And that's the beauty of kind of being around people that you can tap into.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about sort of that pivot that you had, and I'll ask the question now. I was going to ask it later, but it seems more sensible now. I know that I would have done things so different every time I birth a new business, and I might birth a few more in my lifetime. I don't know. But I can honestly say that this business now, whilst it's hard, it's not hard. Not like it was the first one. The first
Right.
one was disastrous. I think I did everything wrong that I could. And that was good, because then I learned, and then the next time got easier, and then the third one easier still. So what thing would you, reflecting back now, what's the one thing that you'd be like, I would absolutely like get on board with it now, or change? Or maybe there was something that if you knew it, you wouldn't have done it.
There's something I'm going to get on board. I think about I think learning the business acumen, the finances behind business. Like, I think that's so important. And that's something that, we just want to hang our shingle and we're going to charge this. And also about, how you bill and how you charge for the work that you do. Like, sometimes I still get a bit skittish and I have to call Sam. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to, like, does this sound right? Like, I don't know. She's like, do it. Like, she is very resolute in her thinking. And so if it's a good idea, she'll tell you, no, let's think about it a different way. But I think that part of it, and I'm still learning that part, is the financial part. And I don't like numbers. Me and numbers do not have a great relationship. But we're getting to know each other a little bit better, because we have to be, in sync. And so I think learning that, and if I had to do it over again, I probably would take my major. I study psychology in college, and I have a master's in human resources and in organizational development. But I think I would have put in like a finance class or a business, some sort of business class in there. But I just wasn't thinking like that. Like, who needs that? Like, that's what they have other people for. But I need to know. I need to know it as a business owner. I need to know those aspects of the business, and so if I had to do it over, that's what I would tell
Yeah.
Monica back then. Like,
So yeah, little Zoe, little Monica. That's what I think.
get yourself educated. Yeah.
We had the Dallas Business Day. So for context, we did Disrupt HR in Dallas in September. Then we had a business day the day after, which was Sam talking through sales techniques. So we've just now had, and we did some AI stuff, which I did. So we've repeated the same, almost like with the UK. We call them clubbers for those listening in. We got the US and UK clubbers. So we had a UK clubbers day. And that was 3 weeks ago, or two, can't remember. I have no sense of time these days.
A couple weeks ago. I remember because I wanted to be there. I was looking at your guys' pictures. I was like, oh, I'm driving. I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so fun.
And the thing that I said to everybody, so we went through spin again. Now, if you don't know spin, for context of listening, it is a sales technique, and it talks about the situation, the problem, the implications or impact, and then the need, the payoff. And it's quite easy to get your head around. But I say that I'm on my fourth listening to it, and now it's kind of landed like big time. And in fact, any call that I have now, I have my co-pilot, Ammon, look at and listening in to any of the calls that I do, because I want. So here's my thing that I really have learned. I spend so much time reaching out, networking, getting on the call, and then I fall down at that part, and I'm like, I've just spent so much time. Like, and then I rush through the process because I'm nervous.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, 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 no. This is what we're leading up to. This is a moment of glory. Kind of like
Right.
enjoy this kind of moment, because it's not about selling. It's about understanding deeply what the person is and then being able to match that with, I've got what you want. And of course, they're not going to come onto the call if they're not knowing what you do to begin with. That was just a bit silly. Anyway, so we're in the room and I said, there's one takeaway I want everyone is that this is what I learned. You've got to stop thinking about HR delivery. You're not a CHR anymore. You're not a CPO. You're not HR director. You're a
Mhm.
business person. And you've got to
Yes.
start
Mhm.
acting like one. Because here's
Mhm.
why. The reason why you've got a block with serving, because I might label it selling or selling, promoting your services is one reason. When you stay trapped in a HR mindset, HR are not revenue generating in any organization.
Mhm.
And so it's actually at the dis-ease of you as a HR person to talk about EBITDA and talk about P&L and L and to talk about net profit and profit loss, all kind of things, right? It just doesn't. I thought I was very savvy as a CPO. I thought I understood. I knew fuck all,
Mhm.
basically. Like, excuse my language, because
You're good.
but I didn't. I thought I knew. And I guess I did flirt with it, but me and numbers used to have a terrible relationship. But
Mhm.
now I can safely say that I understand finances to a much better degree. I think we've got a better relationship than we've ever had,
Yeah.
me and the
Yeah.
finance. And then Pauline came. So Pauline is Sam's a fractional CFO. So
Okay.
we all
Mhm.
got to meet Pauline and she talked us through 10 sort of top things to do. And my mind was absolutely blown. I was like, oh, this is what good finance looks like. And I was thinking, I think I've got a really fantastic accountant, fractional,
Yeah.
compared to Pauline, puts him to
You're
shame.
like, no,
Sorry,
I know.
Martins.
I need to meet
Sorry,
Pauline.
Nat.
Yeah.
And it was so, and so the other takeaway was, so you have to get better at sales. I don't give a toss if you don't like it. You need to become
Mhm.
better at it because you need to get
Yeah.
clients and they're buying from you because you're providing
Mhm.
a service, and
Yeah.
you need to get paid for it. And getting money and keeping money and having cash flow is a whole nother ball game.
It's a paramount. It's paramount to your survival and your sustainability.
So we come back to that lovely word, sustainability, because for me, I was like, well, first 2 years, I was rolling in money. I superseded my corporate salary.
Yeah.
However, I was not profitable because I had to pay out so much to be able to earn that sort of money.
Yes.
So then I realized, oh, that's not right. And then I
Yeah.
had to kind of I got in such a pickle and had to go and then unravel with somebody else. It was very painful, got into
Mhm.
a lot of mischief. And then finally, I guess I had to come to a point of like backed into a corner, because
Mhm.
then I was like, right, I need to get my head around this and get good at this, because I'm going to just, I don't know what we'll do. I can't get a job right now. Like, there's no corporate jobs available that would pay me the money that I would need.
To get
Um,
out of that,
so
right?
absolutely.
Mhm.
I was like, no, no,
Yeah.
we're going forward. We're not going sideways or back. We're going forward. So that's what had to happen, in all honesty, for me to kind of go, let's get this shit together about this and let's get better
Mhm.
about it and let's move on with more knowledge, learn like a student and just keep learning. So yeah, I had a similar view to you. So
Yeah.
I'd also say that, and I don't know if this is something that I it's tied to finances. I didn't get a business bank account. I just transacted everything from my personal account.
I was doing that too because I was not. So when I started, so actually, BackPocket has been around since 2020, but I never did anything with it. It was just kind of like sitting there in the background. And even though I did, consulting work for other HR consultants, I just did it under Monica. It was just like, okay, whatever. And it wasn't until like 2023, I was like, I need to activate this. I need to do it. And so I didn't, I was doing everything out of my personal account, even though some of it was business. I was just running everything because that's where most of my cash flow. If people pay me, they paid it into my personal account, and so that's where all my money was, and that's what I was doing. And then I made the switch. I made the switch in 2024 and opened up. I had a business account. I opened it up and I started funneling the money there and having people pay me through there. And then that has been such a difference because now I can fully see like what's personal, what's business, and I try not to, I don't try and mix those two. If I have to pay something,
Oh, I know.
pay
I
myself.
did the same thing, and that's where I got into such a pickle, and then thought, I think I need a separate bank account. So yeah, and that is again something so simple. And why would
Mhm.
you know if you've never had a business that you should get all these things? Well, I mean, why
Right,
would you?
right.
You just don't, because again, when you're sitting in a HR role, you haven't got to deal with any of that. You haven't got to deal with the money coming in and out. Yes, you have budgets, but they're not really yours. Let's just face
Right,
it. You log them, you build
right.
them. They're all theoretical because the reality is very wildly different.
And they
But I
have
think
accountants to deal with all that stuff. They know where to put stuff. But as a solopreneur, it's all your money. So you're thinking, why does it matter? It's coming
exactly
my money, so I can do whatever I
time
want. But
money.
you have to have structure.
Such a good point, Snake. That's exactly it. My money. But when you go as a business owner, and so our taxation system is called PAYE, pay as you earn, which means that you have an automatic tax deduction through your earnings every month. So in the US, it's typical of bi-weekly payroll. Here in the UK, it's very, very normal to have a monthly. And so whatever your pay is, you have a tax deduction, which goes to the IRS equivalent. So you don't really have a main bill at the end of the year.
Okay.
Unless you earn over a certain amount of money, you've got to do an additional tax return and make sure everything's all in kind of like tidy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then of course the taxation is a whole nother, well, we won't get into that because that is a very different system here, but that just makes me lose my cool in a second.
I know.
It
Pesky
really does.
taxes over here.
I
Yeah.
know. But so Monica, while we're on this topic, I want to thank you because you have inspired me to do something which I haven't talked about either yet, only with Sam. So
Okay.
this will be, by the time this comes out, everyone else in the club will know. So
Okay.
it's not going to, but you inspired me because from that, our day in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
after that, and recently, the HR clinics are getting more advanced and they're getting. So, the HR clinics, for those that are listening, I deliver in Mindability some sessions that help people practically get on board with AI. And as they do, their learning will continue to develop and it will get more strategic, and it will get harder. And the thinking will get like, well, what more is possible with AI? So, I have, and we did this at the weekend, Ammon and I. We've come up with on-demand sessions so you can have a coaching session, a
Mm-hmm.
technical session to set up an automation, and a marketing automation session
Ooh, I
that you can
love
pay
that.
for like I think the Ammon, so Ammon and I between us are going to do
Uh-huh.
on demand, and you can
Uh-huh.
just book them, pay for them up front and book in the diary, and we've got like 60, 90, 120 minutes so
Uh-huh.
that people can come with their problem and we can help
Mhm.
them fix it in a
Okay.
specific time. So you were the one that was like, because when we had our call, I was like, when people often start off the call, which is like, we had a call, how much would it be for me and my team to, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what they need. So we've just decided like, and you are now the one of quite a few saying, could I just hop on like for an hour with you? And, and then I can be very specific about what they're doing. So
Yeah.
thank you. We've got structure. We're about to kind of say, so listen, you can come to the clinic, and of course that's included in everything, and we can give advice and do what we can do in those sessions. But if you want something very specific for yourself that's with you, or you need an automation built, we can do that on demand sessions.
Okay. I love it. I love
Right?
it.
So we know, because I think it's a bit dangerous when I can't give a price for somebody and then they're shocked when I say, oh, that might be 2, 3, 4,000. I don't know. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think back, going back to the same thing that you said around, we're not typically brilliant in pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So the more transparent we can be, it helps us to be not in that awkwardness
Right.
of, well, this is how much it's going to cost. Like, and when you're a small business, you don't always, you need to know what your costs are up front. Like, what am I
Yes.
getting? So
Yes.
it made me
Mm-hmm.
think about, so even though you don't know that, I'm going to just say, thank you,
Thank
because you
you.
created us to go, oh, Monyca represents quite a few people, as in her need.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to help people, but we can't just do individual pricing all the time. That would be silly.
Yeah.
We need to create a way where people can just, so the only thing we need to do is make sure that it's clear, like what's technical. If you need to build an automation and you've already got things that's not quite working, you can't get them together, we'll hop on a call and we'll do it. So we
Hmm.
get you over the hurdle.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. I
and
love it. I love it.
so, and I'm like, it's our pilot. So maybe that will then form a part of having what we call first line support. So we
Yeah.
might have a technical desk that actually all of this comes onto at some point, and we'll hire somebody to do that for us, you know.
Yeah. I love it. I love
So
it.
I
So
was
I
like,
love it.
yes, thank you.
I
So
love it.
you're my platform, my catalyst. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love
Because
it.
I want all my team to be the same. Like, we're working on the same thing. We have to, our AIs have to, kind of think alike.
Synchronized, absolutely.
Yeah.
And no, so we're segueing then into the topic of AI, because now you're, fundamentally, I mean, lots of people have fear about them taking their jobs, and some people listening might have had a little bell ringing going, well, if Monyca does, she's got somebody doing research and contracts and employee books, can't AI do that? Well, I dare say it can, but it still needs to be
Review.
coordinated and still needs to be customized for the
Hmm.
client, and still,
Yep.
so whilst there can be a lot of legwork, so what's your mindset around AI? What do you think it does? Or are you in fear that it's going to take things away from you, or do you see it as like, actually, let's use it really well so I can help more people?
That's my goal, is to use it really well. So I don't, the things that people talk about, like, oh, it's going to take away my job. I think if you understand how to use it, it cannot take away your job, because we use it to help us move faster, and do what we do, because our goal is to get it done, get it back to the consultants in less time than it would take them to do it. Because if they, if it's going to take them 3 weeks to do it, it's going to take us 3 weeks to do it, they can still do it themselves. They don't need us, right? So we use it as a tool to help us move faster, to streamline, and to and really to perfect what we do. So even though we may be creating it from our minds, we still use it to say, "Hey, does this look good?" Like we did when we did a onboarding guide, we did the SOP, the policy, the manager guide, the checklist. We did a frequently asked part of it, but we need to know, like, is it all speaking to each other? Like, we've created these documents, these 5 or 6 different documents, but are they all aligned with each other? And that's what we use AI for. Look at these documents, tell me where the holes are. Are we, are they speaking to each other? Do they make sense with each other? Do they follow each other? And that's how we used it. But so I don't think, if you, and that's one of the reasons why I came to you and said, like, hey, I think my team, we need training in AI, because that's going to be a big part of what we do. It can only enhance what we do. And so it's going to,
Yeah.
drop the delivery times and stuff like that. So that's what we use it for. I don't think that, I'm not afraid that it'll take away my job, because you're still talking about time factor. Even though a consultant could put it in there, they still have to do the other part. They have to check it. You can't let ChatGPT do your AR your HR, because it doesn't know. You have to have a basic foundation of knowing what should be in there. And so it's not going to do that. So they still would have to take the time to read it, edit it, do all that kind of stuff. But we will still do that. So, I
Yeah.
don't fear it that way.
Good, because I know we've had conversations about this, and I think it's a real asset to your.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's using it. So the question, so I pitched to a business this week, and pitch is probably a strong word. Had a great conversation about what do you need. Now this client come to me and said, we need AI and automations, and I was like, do you? Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know why you think that. And they said, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, you've come and you've said very specifically, but when I've asked about sort of, a couple of things here and there, you can't answer my questions. So I'm wondering if you've done enough diligence to understand if this is an AI thing, or is this just an optimization thing that's done with your people, with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it a human thing?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it an AI thing? Or is it something else? Like, is it another technology? Because we've had machine learning for a very long time. So we need to not get so about we need AI, panting
Right.
like dogs. And I'm not saying compliance for dogs, by the way. This is just
Yeah.
me storytelling. But I've spoken to a lot of people actually in this. It was actually, it was probably a couple of weeks ago, and I gave them food for thought and said, I think you need to be like really thinking about what are your challenges, what haven't you been able to achieve, and why, what's been your blockers. So, and I think it's the same in any business. AI will have a place. I will say this with a caveat though, because we're going to get into this next little segment, I'll
Okay.
say, around balance and burnout,
Okay.
because I've noticed I was fast before AI came. And I'm
Hmm.
not blowing my own trumpet here. Anybody that's worked with me has always said trailblazer. You're fast.
Hmm.
You kind of
Hmm.
come with innovation. You are quick. You pivot. Like transformation in me, I'm like, I'm okay with ambiguity. I'm fine with it. I'm okay with lastminute.com. I'm okay with giving me a mess and I'll sort it out because transformation comes out of this mess. You have to have
Hmm.
messy stuff.
Yeah.
And I was fast beforehand. Now I am on steroids because of AI. So what I used to do in a week, I can do in a day.
Hmm.
And so guess what I do? I work more.
Hmm. Because you're filling up that time, right? I have all this time. I could do more.
So that's where I'm in a bit of a spin. So we talked like, how do you balance what's your balance? What does balance look like to you?
Oh, Zoe, I'm still working that out because just because of the influx of the work that we've had to do and me getting my team on board, I'm still working that out. But I'm happy to say that I do on the weekends. I do have because in my family I'm known as Monica's always working. That's the name, and I don't want to be known as Monica's always working. But I do have stuff that I need to do, and I'm very passionate about delivering what I need to deliver to my clients, and I want to do it, I want to do it ahead of time. I want to do it right. And so that, if I have a free time and I'm not doing anything, I'm like, well, I could just work. But I've cut that down to no, if I have a free time, I'm going to go sit on my patio. And I'm going to sit down and enjoy the patio furniture that I have, and sit out there and kind of, have my music going. Or, I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to go hang out with some friends. So I'm learning to create that balance and have my right now my meetings cut off at 4. I think I'm going to push them up to 3 so that I have some time before the end of the day because I like to cook. I like to do meal prep. I like to just kind of hang out, and just kind of unwind for the day. And I don't want to unwind at 9 o'clock because then I'm really tired. I'm ready to go to sleep. So I've been trying to put in those uh, those boundaries so that I do not have burnout because it's very easy, you
Very
know,
easy.
very
Very easy.
easy because there's work to do, but now with the team I can push it off, and that was one of the things that giving give it's like giving your baby to somebody, like, here, here, go do this, and you're gonna treat it the way that I treat it, you're gonna snuggle it, all that kind of stuff. So, but I have a really good team, and I've learned to trust them. They can speak with clients. I don't have to be that person that's always speaking to the clients. They can handle it. They're the lead on the project, and they can do that. So that has worked out. That has worked well. And it's for the about a month that I've been doing this, like no work on the weekends, unless it's absolutely you cannot avoid it. And I don't expect them to do that. I will take up that slack, to do that. But but I have been instituting, and I feel much better. Like on the weekends, like I feel like I have detached from the business. I don't check
Yes.
email, and on Monday, maybe Sunday night I'll come in, just kind of see what what the next day is looking at. But really, I don't need to anymore because you set up a great tool for me where my chat GPT, Miss Cleo, will go in and she'll check, my calendar, she'll check my email and give me a rundown for the day at 7 o'clock every morning. And I can look at that and go, okay, this is what I got going on. So, but I found that when I do that, I'm much more refreshed. I have the energy. I'm not, spent, from
Yes.
working 80 hours in a week. I can have that, that thought process. And maybe I'll get a thought over the weekend, but I have notes on my phone and I just put it in my notes and I can come back to it later. But I really do try and have that boundary about, okay, this is a no working time. you know.
Yeah, it's really important. And I was
Mhm.
thinking, so we've got a little trouble going on in the UK at the moment. It's not a brilliant place to be at the moment, politically. Um, there's a lot of bad things happening, but then I also work for Condé Nast, one of the world's biggest media platforms, and it's not always, the truth is not always presented in the way, or part truth, So I'm very mindful that the press is, somewhat right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but where was I going with that? Oh, that's right. So my mum and I were talking about Germany, because I lived in Germany, and she said, "Well," I said, "Well, if you could go anywhere, mummy, where would it be?" And my mum's like nearly 80, late 70s, and she does, she's had a lot of pain in the last few years and aging and that sort of stuff. And we were talking about Germany, and she said, "You know what? And where would you want to go back?" And I said, "Where have you lived that you want to go back?" And I said, Canada, no, Germany, Germany, Germany. So she said, why? I said, I finished at midday on Friday. Bearing in mind that I lived in where I could drive to Austria, Italy, Czech Republic within a few hours,
Huh?
and you would go off for the weekend, and you wouldn't, it's Adidas is a place that's a very corporate beast,
Mhm.
but they would, people can go and exercise. That you have an active life. That's
Yeah.
part of
Mhm.
the culture. And
Yeah.
but Sundays in Bavaria, in South Germany, a specific area. I don't know if it's in all Germany, but you can't. Nothing's open on a Sunday, and on Saturday.
I
So
love
in a
it.
weekday, things finish at 5 or 6. There's no opening until when the shop
Mhm.
shut. The shop shut. The only thing that's open on Sundays, and you can't mow your lawn. It's a religious day, and it's a day of being with family. Like
Mhm.
it's socialization. So
Yeah.
you can't make noise. You can't go to the bottle bank. No
Mhm.
shops are open. There's cafes and kind of eateries, yes, but even they have a cut-off time because everybody needs to have family time.
Right. Mhm.
And
I
I
love it.
said, that's why I miss mum. I really miss that. And she said, I think I watch you and see you work every weekend, and I probably worked every weekend, all bar maybe 4 or 5 over
Mhm.
the last 2 years. And
Mhm.
it used to be that I wanted to do it because it helped my day or the week ahead.
Right.
And now it's come
That's
to a
a
little
happy
bit,
point, right?
yeah, and now it's a little bit dependent, because now it's almost like, well, if I bump that to the weekend, I can take another meeting.
Mhm.
If I just do all that on the weekend, then it means I've got a whole afternoon I could do this.
Mhm.
So I've had to be really like, so I don't know if you saw a post on LinkedIn. I said, I'm asking for a friend. I've got 60,000, like 60,000 emails, unread emails inbox. What would you do,
Mhm.
kind of thing?
Mhm.
Asking for a mate. And I got quite a lot of engagement on it, but of course it's me.
Right.
And so this weekend, this is
Uh-huh.
exactly what I did. I'm now down to under 10,000 emails, and I have culled and I have extracted data, and I've created like lists upon lists, because that's also been quite a topic in the community. Like, how do you manage your connections and track? And
Mhm.
well, I hate to say it, but ChatGPT can only do part of it for you. It can't do it all.
Right.
Um, well, you can break it down and do it step by step. You can, and I've worked that out
Mhm.
over this weekend. But yeah, it was a weekend of me literally 8 hours on. Well, no, between 5 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturday. I'm
Mhm.
data mining emails, and then again yesterday, probably from about 4 till 10 last night.
Mhm.
And I still thought, I haven't finished it. Oh my God. So I've spent 5 hours today doing it, and I'm still not finished.
You're gonna be so happy when you're done. You're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, this is all set up. I don't have to do this anymore."
I know. And
But
I've got it between my, like, I'm like a dog with a bone. So
yeah.
I am not closing out today, having not finished. I can see I've probably got another 50 entries, and that's
Uh
going
huh.
on LinkedIn profiles, getting the link, looking at their,
Yeah.
looking at my emails. Have I got any information from them? When was the last time we've connected? That kind of, I mean, honestly. So anyway, I did ask my chat. So I asked my bot, go in and check all my emails from 2023, 24, 25, and extract every single email address that is not on this list. So
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one to do. That's a good one to do.
I was like,
But some,
I've had to break it down. It's too chunky to do that. That's where I started. Then thought, no, we need to do a test sample, and then we
mhm.
need to kind of, and that's when I then thought, this is going to be so painful if I don't take out that 60,000 emails,
Yes.
because a good 40,000 of them are absolute junk.
Mhm. Unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. That's what I've been doing. As I take chunks of it, like if I like have 5 or 6
Oh
minutes during the day,
yes.
I'm like, okay, let me go through. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this.
But it does feel good. I have to say that I journaled last night and I was like, I'm going to wake up refreshed, ready for the day. It's going to be such a good week, you know. So
Yay.
it's but the balance is really hard. The
It
balance
is.
is really, really hard, especially when you work for yourself. So it's a very, very different concept when you're in a corporate structure and you feel like you don't have a voice and you have to bend to the business. Well,
Right.
that's just according to you. I mean, you set your own boundaries. Now I look back and think I had burnout several times. I created the burnout because I just didn't push back.
Yes. Yes. And
Like,
but now you can push back on yourself, but but it's easy because it is your baby, like you heavily invested in it, 100 it works. It's going to work if you work it. It's not going to work if
but
you
there's a
don't work it.
difference
And so
between them.
you're
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So now
There
you're
is a
just like,
different
I
force to
have
it.
to make this work, right? And so you're going to do whatever you can to make it work. But I still think we need to have those boundaries. Like today is one of my friend's birthdays, and so we're going to a spa. It's not something I would normally do on a Monday because I'm like, this is work, like I can't do this. But I've already cleared my calendar and set my, out of office, time, my no meeting time to include that so I can get ready, go meet them and have a good time tonight. But I think that's refreshing, that
You should do that.
clears up my mind. Yeah, that clears up my mind so that I can do the work that I need to do for my clients. Because if I'm burned out, and I'm supposed to be the resource. So
Right.
the resource, has to find a way to take care of themselves so they're not burned out and they can be there.
You've got to fill up your own cup. We all say,
Yes.
and as I'm talking about this, so I also did something else last night. I stayed up extra late because I run to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm like,
Okay.
I hate going to bed late.
Uh
But
huh.
last night it was midnight. And so what I did do, because I was looking at my schedule and I've got all blocks in my schedule, color coded. I'm a Virgo. I like organization. What can I say? So but what I have done is I have already blocked out for 26 weeks where I've put it as it will decline any meeting requests.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fill them up. I'm like, I cannot go through another tired year like I have been. I aged so much this year because through tiredness. And I'm like, give me Botox, give me filler, give me a facelift, nip and tuck me any way you need to. So I stay
You're gonna be like, who is that? That's Zoe.
like I'll be like, like all nice and pulled, and you'll be like, what?
Yeah, it's like, who is that? That's Zoe. That's Zoe. You remember
But
her?
yeah,
Yeah. But
it's
that's I
really
have that
hard.
problem too because sometimes I don't, if my mind is running, I don't sleep well. And so I may go to sleep and then I may wake up and then my mind is like going 1,000 miles an hour. And so I have to calm it because sometimes my first thing is like, oh, well, I'll just answer some, I might answer some LinkedIn stuff. So you may see me on LinkedIn. And it's like, you look at the time, you're like, what the heck is she doing? I think you've gotten something from me and you're like, what are you doing up? And I was like, oh, I couldn't sleep. So I try and, now before picking up my phone, I try and at least play some like ocean sounds. I have Google play me some ocean sounds or something like that to kind of lull me back to sleep. I try not to turn on my TV. Try
Yes,
not
yes.
to pick up my phone. It doesn't always work. So it's still a work, and this whole thing about balance and not being burned out is still a work in progress for me. But I recognize the issue, and I try and put some guardrails in place so I don't, that I'm not always in that situation. So
Beautiful. And that's
yeah.
what we must all do for ourselves. And if
Hmm.
anyone listening is thinking, oh, I need to do that, there's a part of you that can't relinquish this to anybody else. So you just hit the nail on the head. You've got to be aware of what you're doing. And then that's when you can change your behavior around it. I'm really conscious that we've come up to our time, and now you're going off to the spa, and I'm really jelly because I love going to the spa, and I think it's just sometimes the thing that you need. You need to get
Yeah.
into your body, your sensories. When you've got all things going on that are really somatic, you can have a wonderful time. But I just
Yeah.
want to say, Monica, thank you. It's gone so fast the time. You know that I could talk to you for an age.
I know. We'll have to do it again.
Oh, we will. We will. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm just so thrilled that you have come on and shared, which has been a pretty brutally honest conversation around sort of, the things that are, that are troublesome as an entrepreneur. But there's an awful lot of joy that comes with that. So
It
flexibility,
does.
you can go to spa, make your own
Yes.
schedule.
Yes. Yes. In the
Yes.
middle
So
of the day.
thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Now, for anyone that absolutely needs Monica's services and her team, you will have a description below in the comments, description box, whatever it is. So you can absolutely reach out to Monica. And I I think that you are going to have an explosion in 2026. I
I
think that
feel it.
your team is going to be quadrupled. And we know that you'll be ready for it.
Yes. Yes. We're gearing up for it, and we're excited. We're
Yes.
excited for 2020. We're excited for 2025, but we're doubly excited for 2026.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I'm so proud and so privileged to be able to know you. Like anyone else on the show, I have a personal connection. Some people I know more than others. Some people I've just met, but I'm so happy you're in my life and that you're in. We found mindability. So thank you, and I'm sending
Yes.
you
Same here.
so much joy for the spa and the week. And thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, Zoe. You know I love you. Thank you. I always enjoy talking to you, no matter where we are.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And for those that joined to listen, I hope that you subscribe to the channel and that you continue to follow the journey and meet some incredible people. Thank you. Over and out from me.
Thank you.